Hello, everyone, and no, that is not Jeff. You saw this man a few months ago for our last Marvel TV series review, but I got Honor with me. I'm excited because we're talking about none other than the Ryan Coogler produced Marvel series, Ironheart. Rue, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing all right. Of course, they put Ryan Coogler up front because there's also like 7 other executive producers on this show, but you put Ryan Coogler on there anyway.
You notice how on TV spots recently they started adding sinners to the TV spot, which we were talking about. Oh, they'll never do that. No, director of Sinners. It's like, wow, Disney rarely ever notices other films from other companies. The fact that they don't want to like Black Panther and Wakanda Forever, like the Black Panther films and Sinners. I was like, oh, they're really trying to dig into this with the very little marketing that they did.
Yeah. The show deserved better, but it's all right.
No, but we're here to talk about Ironheart, a series that, if you believe some reports, was done filming 2 years ago.
Was it only 2? Because it feels like longer.
Well, because there's like the first footage from D23 was from like 2 years ago. I guess 3 years ago at this point.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about last August when D23 was going on, and they were showing footage. People like, we saw some of this 2 years ago. So yeah, about 3 years ago at this point is when they supposedly filmed this. And now we're really diving into it, getting this. It's doing the Andor release model, which I don't know if that's how Disney Plus is doing their shows going forward. I hope not, because personally, I hate that model. But we're getting 3 episodes tonight, which you guys are probably watching right now or just finished watching if you're checking this out. And general. Well, we're going to spoil the first 3. So if you haven't watched already, go ahead and just pause, watch the series, and come back. But we will give general thoughts on the back half because we each saw the entire series. So yeah, first and foremost, got to say it up top, Dominique Thorne is great. She is just absolutely a showstopper. Rue and I saw her earlier this year in the film Freaky Tales, and like she was fantastic in that. So she along with Anthony Ramos were the 2 things I was most excited about heading into this series. I'm not even gonna lie. Rue, how are you feeling?
She was so good. She made me want to look up whether or not she was from Chicago. And when I saw her in Freaky Tales, I was like, I know she's not from Oakland. I don't think, but she feels like she's from Oakland. And throughout this, I was like, wait, is she from Chicago? Because the way she inhabits everything of that city. I just love her in this role. I like her in almost anything. I forgot she was in Judas and the Black Messiah, and she was really good in that as well.
She was too. She was a smaller character then.
But like, she is, pun intended, the Ironheart of this film, literally and metaphorically.
Series.
Yes, series. Thank you. And the film, Wakanda Forever. But anyway, she is great in this. She is just emotional and authentic. And fun as hell, and it feels like what I felt like when I watched this series. I felt like I was home. I felt like one. I lived in Chicago for 5 years. Another one of the many places I've lived in. But like that's one place I go back to, and I feel like it felt like I was stepping back into a place I haven't been to in a long time, just like she was in the show. And she's a big reason. Feeling like somebody from the neighborhood, feeling like I belong there, or I was always there, and just really surprised. What I was surprised about, because I didn't know how much they were really going to like dig into things. Like you talked about it up top, the marketing for this, the delays for this. It made me worried that they were gonna do us dirty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were gonna do us dirty, not only in the marketing, but also just in like what they were gonna do with it fully. And then them putting Ryan Coogler front and center said, no, this is Ryan Coogler. He's not putting out things that suck. And starting with Dominique Thorne showed that like her relatability from Wakanda Forever, even though I know some people didn't feel that way. I did.
I felt that way.
I felt like it is like tenfold in here, not only because of her acting, but because of the writing of her character.
Yes.
You were starting to see in these first three, I'll tell y'all now, it is exponentially like given her depth in the last three that you'll see next week.
And it's just depth on stuff we're already aware about, because we were aware in Wakanda Forever she lost her stepfather, and she had this really strong relationship with him because we had the car in Wakanda Forever. And that car plays a massive role in this show as well, but that's all I'll really say about that for now. And just seeing her trauma, like that, we joke. Marvel ever since Endgame came out has been just a large trauma dump. It feels like every story has trauma upon trauma and is dealing with trauma. Even Thunderbolts, with a highly regarded MCU film that just came out in May, trauma film. It was A24 trauma meets Marvel, and this, it's still trauma, but it's more in a fun way at times because of how she ends up dealing with it, and she deals with it in the form of reconnecting with an old friend played by Matthew Elam, reconnecting with her mother in sorts, and
trying to at least, mom trying to at least,
and with the help of a suit enhancement gone wrong named Natalie, who just so happens to take the form of her best friend who died with her stepfather.
So I'll start with this. They're using trauma how Black people deal with trauma, unfortunately. Not as much now. I'm very proud of us. We go to therapy. We try to talk it out, but it's fun because all we do is laugh. We laugh at everything or push it away. And what I really enjoy,
keep those items from our past that connect us with those people.
Yeah. What I really enjoyed about it is the truth of like Dominique Thorne, dude, why the hell? I'm just gonna be. What the hell is Ironheart's real name? What am I doing?
Riri, bro.
Thank you. Riri. Don't kill me, please. Riri being that person who's I'm fine, and everybody else around her trying to encase her in love, trying to encase her in hilarity, trying to be fun around her, but also being like, I need you to talk to me, and the reality of people pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. And her whole story of just being overwhelmed with things, and her like showcasing that trauma and putting it into what she's doing. I do like the parallel without leaning on it of Ironheart with Iron Man. Like this is Iron Man 3 without feeling like without feeling like the Homecoming syndrome, which I loved Homecoming, but you don't have the other person. You don't have anybody from Wakanda in this being the mentor. This is about Riri. This is about her life, her culture, her family, her trauma. And it just feels real. And for me, what carries this show, even when it starts to kind of dip into like some conventional things and what you think is predictable, it's the cast around it. And Angie White as her mom is really, really good.
Harper Anthony as little homie on the streets had me dying.
Hilarious. But you brought it up. I think that Lyric Ross is the surprise standout of the show.
Without
like I'll bring up her plot point a little bit if you want to talk about it, but I'm just going to start with like, I think. Go ahead.
Go ahead and talk about it real quick.
I would say from jump, like I felt the connection. I was like, oh, who is that in the opening scene of episode 1 where you see the video? But the way they keep doing the flashbacks and then bring her in, and then all of a sudden she pops back up, and the second she pops up, you're like, oh, are they sisters or are they best friends? Or does it matter because they're basically sisters, blood related or not? And it's due to her.
This is due to like, this is this is the thing about Coogler's projects is it genuinely captures the Black experience, and it does that in its relationships. Like everyone knows when it comes to Black folk and their best friends, 9 times out of 10, they are more brother or sister or whatever you want to call them than they are friend. Like, that's just how it is. And you brought up a comparison to Iron Man 2, or excuse me, Iron Man 3. I got a lot of shades of Iron Man 2 just because of like how Tony is. Like in Iron Man 2, you have Tony just like, yeah, he knows he's dying and he really just he doesn't care. And you kind of get that acting out early on in this series from Riri. And that, especially that first episode, holy hell, that first episode when she's leaves MIT and like I was like, that's shades of Tony, like just ruining his own party. Like I loved it. But I think you are absolutely right in that it captures the heart of the Iron Man series in general fairly well. But yeah, Lyric Ross as Natalie. The introduction, you talking about how like sisters and everything, just incredible. And so Natalie, since we are spoiling these first 3 episodes, and that's a large portion of these first 3 episodes. Natalie is an AI. Riri tries to make an AI version of, or a recreation of Griot from Wakanda Forever, the Wakandan AI that Shuri hooked her up with, using her brain signals to try to pull the memories of Griot out from her time in Wakanda. Well, instead, she falls asleep and dreams about her time with Natalie. And now Natalie is brought back to life in the form of this AI. And then you get this really interesting conversation about whether Natalie's alive or what, or if she's just an AI. And Riri's going back and forth with herself on that because she tries to tell Natalie, you're not Natalie. It's like, well, I am. She creates the name Natalie with an anagram that still spells out Natalie. And I'm like, oh, it's this kind of relationship. I like this. I really like this.
Yeah.
So,
my bad. Go ahead. I was just saying, I really loved this plot point. So like for me, including the second half of the show, and I'm going to say especially the second half of the show, what surprised me the most is I had mentioned this kind of coming of age crime mix. You can kind of you start to think in these first 3 episodes, I know where this is going. I can predict where this is going. But as the show goes on, they swerve so many times into much more interesting conversations, much more interesting plot points that made me like, I could see the flaws of the show. I could see like some of the surface level things, but the second you think, oh, this is a bit surface level, but I'm having fun, they dive deeper. And the biggest one for me is this conversation.
Yes.
Before the early reactions came out, I was very, very worried because I was thinking about like Alien Romulus and the whole thing with Ian Holm and using AI to bring back somebody from the dead. And I was like, okay, I think it's really interesting. I hope people don't automatically just shit on the storyline because she is literally doing what we're saying in real life should not happen.
Yes.
Using AI and how ridiculously realistic and kind of blasphemous and whatever it can be.
Mm-hmm.
But I love the way how they're talking, how they're giving you a morally gray conversation.
Yes.
Where it's not like she created her to try that to happen. It came off of her brain mapping. And now there's conversations of, man, she's helping me in a lot of ways, but also this is kind of morally wrong in other ways.
And she has that conversation early on with the show where she's like, you weren't supposed to happen. You stay quiet and stay away from meeting anyone or interacting with anyone. And you see how the different people in her life, once they come in contact with Natalie, react to Natalie in that way.
Yes, and I will say, no matter where you are on this topic in this show, whether or not you're not liking it because of what it's talking about, or if you're really interested, I promise you the second half digs even deeper into it and makes you feel like they are basically, I think I saw Lyric Ross kind of on a red carpet talk about like, it's scary what AI can do. And like, it is a reality. This is the show saying, no, this is our reality. Let's put it out here and have these conversations. And it's not just, and it's that what makes me really like this show, because that's not the only conversations they have in the show, but it is basically, for me, the linchpin of what makes this I'm going to just say it, a much better show than it ought to be based on what's gone behind it. And and they follow through on a lot of it. This show is messy, but when I say this show is messy, I mean the things you're talking about, the characters, the life, the reality of, because life is messy. They're like, we're going into the messiness and we're digging deep into it in ways that I was not expecting, and I was really happy about.
Now, I do want to say someone I enjoyed, and I feel like people forget this actor exists now. Ever since Solo came out, like he popped up in Oppenheimer. It's like, oh, there he is, and now he's in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that's Alden Ehrenreich, who, as Joe, I'm not gonna go, even though it's in the first 3 episodes, right? The name reveals in the first 3 episodes. I think it's episode 2 or 3, because
maybe
episode 3 is the heist, right?
Yes, episode 3 is
so.
the heist.
So yes, the name is revealed. We'll just say he's Ezekiel Stain, and because he's Obadiah Stane's son, he changed his name to Joe McGillicuddy. And I love how when Riri is searching Black Web to figure out where she can get what she needs, she's like, well, that sounds like a fake, like it points it out. It's like, fake ass name. Like we're not even going to try to hide it. We get that it's ridiculous. So fuck it. And a character like Riri would point out that it is an absolutely ridiculous name. So
I enjoyed Alden a lot. I think he is a great counterpoint to Riri, somebody who was trying to take their past and move on from it, but also can't escape it sometimes. And I'm a fan of Alden. I was a fan of Solo. I've always been a fan of Solo too. And I just think he is a very grounded but likable actor in general in anything that he's in. And I like his dynamic with Dominique. I like Joe's dynamic with Riri. And speaking on him, I want your thoughts on the Ocean's 11 crew before we get in and then segue into the hood. They are probably the most tropey, but also still kind of relatable characters. Like they were the ones I was like, I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna lean into liking these slightly more heightened versions of people we all know, and I'm good with it.
I'm glad you could. They were the one of the things in the series I wasn't a fan. I loved Clown. Clown I enjoyed.
Clown was dope.
The blood siblings, I was like, eh. And I did I forget the character's name. I did enjoy Jaren Morrell.
But you mean Slug?
Thank you. Jaren Morrell.
They go by another name too, like Chloe Surreal or something like that.
But yeah, that's just, I know that's the
not Chloe Surreal, but something like that. I can't Cleo Surreal, maybe. I can't. I'm sorry. I can't. When I looked it up, I had Morrell as well. So
yeah, but you're talking about their stage name. Their stage name is Shea Cooley.
Thank you. I don't know where the hell I was getting Chloe Surreal. I know there was like a SH somewhere.
Yeah, but Clown was my favorite of that crew. Shout out to an Eric Andre cameo, I guess, but now I was upset because I feel like he could have been in something so much bigger MCU.
I'm the opposite. I'm not an Eric Andre fan.
I'm not the biggest Eric Andre guy. I agree he can be too much.
When they got rid of him, I was like, okay, good, cool. We can get away from the comedy that's not going to fit right now.
See, but like I just like Eric. I feel like he could have been used somewhere else in the MCU down the line in a way that would have worked better. And I was like, oh, okay, so I'm not going to get that. Oh, well, moved on. I'm a big Eric Andre fan from Disenchantment. That's where I really became a fan of his, because he's not in charge. He's easily reined in. So, but I really, that crew outside of the hood, and I forget Manny Montana's character's name. Was it?
Oh, Cousin John.
Cousin John. Like outside of the hood and Cousin John, I was like, yo, these young are just like slightly pulling me out of this right now. Like I get that's part of them being young is part of the point, because it's supposed to be more easily manipulated because of them being young and needing money. Taking a look at what the generation, the end of our generation as millennials, and the younger generations will do for a buck.
I wonder whether or not we're just getting into the unk territory where like I can't connect with these people. Let's just go ahead and leave it to the youngins to do what the youngins do, and we're just like, eh.
Yeah, that's what I'm starting to wonder. But like, I was able to at least be okay overall with it. Once we got to that White Castle in episode 4 or 5, though, I was like, White Castle.
Really?
Yeah.
It's not really a spoiler because we're just going to call it. I enjoyed that episode. I thought that episode was great.
I enjoyed the episode. I was talking about that scene. Scene is.
I will say it gave a lot more character development to Clown, which is why we liked Clown so much, I guess, for me. But anyway, but let's just talk about. I was worried the entire time before seeing the show. The way they were relaying it, and the
way they were hiding
it and stuff, and another reason was I love Anthony Ramos, and I was hoping he would deliver. And with him and Cousin John, I am very happy to say that man is as cool as ever.
Yeah,
absolutely cool. Absolutely, Jess. You are enthralled by what he does. He's going to he continues to show why he is somebody you are seeing popping up in a lot ever since Hamilton, Twisters into this, why they're bringing him in. Sorry. Yeah, so I've really enjoyed where they're going with him, and again, it just if you've looked at the reactions, this is basically what you've seen. The first half of the show is okay to really good. And the second half show builds on, you realize why the beginning is the beginning, because they needed foundation to let the second half take off. And that is what you're going to get in the Hood story. But I really love the him and Cousin John storyline, as you see in episode 3, where it really kicks off.
Yes. And episode 3 is the first time we get a real hint about who might be behind the scenes. And then it continues on in episodes 4 and 5. I ain't gonna lie. They had me. I'm gonna say this. Really had me for a bit. I was like, oh, so we aren't doing that one character. All right, cool. Like, we're just gonna go the other way. I'm fine with that. And then they pulled me back in. And I was like, well, we got the one character. And I don't know how I feel about that, because I felt like it was kind of that was probably one of my least favorite things about the series.
I'm gonna leave it because that's a later talk. That's second half. We're gonna leave it out.
No. We said we're not spoiling second half, so that's why I was just we're still talking about it. We're just not spoiling it.
I'll say this, like I said, second half is exponential. I'm not even gonna say exponentially better. As I said, it proves why you go through the first episodes and deal with the first episodes, because the second half builds off it in a extremely well done thing. The emotion is in the second half. The twists are in the second half. The building of the characters, the getting deeper into the trauma, all comes in those last 3 episodes.
Yes.
I'll say this. I really, really like everything they did in that second half. All of the reveals, all of the stories, where because I think, one, they give nods to the really deep MCU fans, for one.
Yes.
And then they, again, just as a show, they deepen everything. But also, for me, for those who are worrying, the way they ended the show showed me that even though people are worried they were dumping it, they are committed to Riri Williams. They are absolutely, that I will agree to. They are absolutely committed to her and her as a character and her importance in the MCU. By the end, I was like, yes, this makes me very happy. And because she comes in, also, before we forget, and I forget, shout out to our childhood, Cree Summer, into this show.
Yes, Cree Summer
is hilarious. Let's go.
I lost it on quite a few occasions with Cree. Like, I was like, I'm also like, oh shit, that's Cree Summer. And granted, if you talked to me like 2-3 years ago, I would have only known who she was based off the voice, right? But because of Abbott Elementary, it's like, nah, the best sitcom on television. I'm like, I can respect that woman fully now.
Yeah. But for me, I loved how they ended the show.
But the ending is probably the biggest issue I have with it. Because personally, the ending to me, I felt undid a lot of the work that we had done over the previous 5 episodes. The ending itself, like how the last 5 minutes of the show, I was just like, I get that we're supposed to understand that Riri is a morally gray character, but I felt like we had turned a corner, and now it was a monkey's paw type situation. I don't know how I feel about it.
Here's why I like it, and it goes into what I said about a commitment. If this was a limited series and they were done, I would be like, I get it. Or I would be more in agreement with that. We are not done with her arc. That's where I'm at. We are not done with where her arc is going to be in this section of the MCU. So I think this ending makes her an even more layered, emotionally deep character that's real. And that's why I enjoyed it so much, because it did for me everything that the series did. It made her more layered. It continued the morally gray moral conversations. And it was real. She's 19 years old, trying to deal with stuff, and what she's dealing with really never ends. So, and it takes a turn. I thought it was going to go one way, and then we were going to be like, okay, arc complete. It did not. And it said, nope, we're not done with this arc. We're not done with this character. And it took a swerve where I was like, you know what? That is much more interesting to me than what I thought was going to happen.
So I think this is where we need to have a conversation, because we're sitting here saying we both feel like, yes, by that ending, you've totally committed to Riri Williams. However, we both know as people in this industry, Doomsday and Secret Wars is coming up. And that could totally change based off of, one, the reception of this show, and two, how they feel they can do Riri. Because based on our reports, we're going to end up with a soft, if not semi-hard reboot of the Marvel Cinematic Universe after Secret Wars, which could just ultimately mean we end up seeing a new Tony Stark ending Riri's time. You know what I mean? And that's one of my biggest fears. Like you're committed to her, but we've seen Marvel quickly just undo stuff in the past that just wasn't well received. You know what I mean?
I'm a wait and see person. One, we didn't see Dominique's name in those chairs.
Well, we didn't see them in the chairs for Doomsday.
We also haven't seen half of that cast.
Yes, but we also haven't seen the cast for Secret Wars. I'm more focused on Secret Wars than I am on that, because Secret Wars is going to have more, like, they'll have more time to figure out what they're doing specifically with Secret Wars and how they could make changes and reshape the MCU with that film. And that's why I'm more afraid than anything when it comes to it.
I understand your fears. I was going to say, secondly, I've been saying it for years that, like, this is the last thing, and this is the last thing, and this is the last thing. But because of how long it took, this is another one of the last remnants of where COVID strikes and everything just like threw everything for a loop. So I'm hoping that this, what I keep saying is a commitment, shows that they have an idea of where she's going to go and they're going to keep it going. But if they have to like reset and end it, I'll probably go more back to you. They dropped the ball on something that could have been really interesting. But I low key I don't like, but understand that they just have to find a way to clear their hands of everything that screwed up their time and them trying to shift. So again, I'm hoping again, this and Cap were the remnants of the really, 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 really out of their hands, but also fumbled like crazy how to fix the delays that they had to deal with and the reshuffling they had to deal with, whether it was under Chapek or not. So I'm interested in where it goes. But like I said, at least it gives me more hope that they have an idea and this is what they're going to end with. So they might continue her well. They might not. I can see how it can go wrong. So I'm a wait and see type of guy.
fair. So, Rue, if you're gonna rate this series, what are you rating it?
So, I objectively, 100% objectively, give this a 3.5. However, one thing I did not mention objectively, one thing I did not mention that I'm just going to mention real quick. I mentioned it. This show felt like home. The Chicago love. There's certain needle drops in there. I was just like, fuck yes. All of that with the cast, it's getting an extra 0.5 for vibes. And vibes are important. So I am giving this a 4 out of 5 because I was very surprised at how much I connected and really fell for this being, again, a better show than I thought it was going to be.
So, funny enough, we each bumped it up an extra 0.5 for the same reasons. The cast is just phenomenal. And I love that it doesn't seem like we're going to have the Marvel villain problem come after this show. So just the cast, while I have issues with the story and some of the characters, I'm giving it a 3.5. This was a solid 3, but Dominique Thorne's performance, as well as capturing the Black experience, as well as they did with this character, and the Black communal experience at times, just really blew me away, and I enjoyed the hell out of it for that reason. So it's a 3.5 out of 5 for me. With that being said, however, thank you guys for watching this review. Thank you to Rue for joining me. If you haven't already, like and subscribe to this channel. Also, make sure to subscribe to our sister channel, Watt Real Gaming, or Watt Gaming on YouTube. And this Thursday night, we will be live on this channel and the Watt Gaming YouTube channel for Watt CW Draft Night. Taylor is bringing back Watt CW for season 2. That is his WWE 2K streams. And it's about to be a lot of fun. He's about to go in there. He's brought a few of us in to be team captains, and Amru, you'll enjoy this. He's going with the Schmodown teams points method. So every time there's a match, whatever happens in those matches will affect the points and the rankings, and at the end of it, there might be a surprise for the winner. We'll see. But I'm excited to do that and share that with all of y'all. So be here Thursday, I think at 10 p.m., maybe earlier, depending on how schedules line up. But with that, folks, signing off, I'm Matt. That is Amru. Don't forget to come back tomorrow for my F1 review. That drops also up. Almost forgot about that. And we will see you next time for another real review. Peace.